Welcome to Cheese in Depth. I'm Michael Landis, and today we are very fortunate to be able to have Joey Widmer with us today, and we're really looking forward to being able to chat with him and to be able to learn more about these historic cheeses that they do. And today we are sponsored by the great folks at Dairy Farmers of Wisconsin. With over 1,200 licensed cheesemakers in the only state that requires a license to make cheese, they are also the only place outside of Europe with a master cheesemakers program. So today I'm talking with Joey Widmer, who is also a Wisconsin licensed cheesemaker. So I'm going to introduce you to Joey and turn you over to him. Joey.
Hello, everyone. Joey Widmer here. I'm coming to you from Widmers Cheese Cellars in Teresa, Wisconsin, southeastern Wisconsin, located about 40 miles north of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, straight north. I'm actually in my apartment right now, which is above the cheese factory. Pretty traditional circumstances in Wisconsin as far as, in the 1900s, people, the cheesemakers living above the cheese factory itself, and that's the situation here today. So I'm actually sitting directly above one of our cheese curing rooms. So pretty neat, unique situation here. This photo was taken a couple years ago by the Dairy Farmers of Wisconsin. They had a photo shoot, and pictured in this photo, me on the left-hand side, and then my father, Joe Widmer, on the right-hand side. My father is a third-generation cheesemaker, and he's also a master cheesemaker in brick, cheddar, and Colby cheese. And then myself on the left-hand side, I am a fourth-generation cheesemaker here at Widmers. A little bit of background on our company. We've been making cheese here at the same location and facility since 1922, and we make 3 varieties of cheese here. We make brick cheese, Colby cheese, and cheddar cheese. Brick and Colby are both, what am I trying to say? They are both Wisconsin original cheeses, which means they were invented in Wisconsin. They were both invented in the 1870s, and we're still sticking with the tradition of using the recipes that were handed down from the 1870s. And the cheddar is obviously that's a cheese that was invented in England. So the story of Widmer's Cheese Cellars starts with my great-grandfather. My great-grandfather started the business in 1922. But before that, a little bit of brief history before that. So when he was 18, he's from Switzerland. When he was 18, he decided that he wanted to come to America, the land of opportunity. And in order to do that, he had to have a job lined up before he came here in order to get a visa. So he found a job, oddly enough, in Wisconsin as an apprenticeship cheesemaker, and that landed him about 10 miles from our current facility, and that was in the year of 1905 when he was 18 years of age. He actually came through Ellis Island in New York City. Pretty neat. And then he worked there from the year 1905 until 1922 when he bought our plant. A little bit of history in between there. He stayed in contact with his wife during this, or with his girlfriend during this time via email. Just joking. It was actually Zoom. No, he wrote letters back and forth to his girlfriend at the time and stayed in contact with her between the years 1905 and 1911. And finally, in 1911, she decided to also come over from Switzerland to be with my great-grandfather. And when he met her in New York City at Ellis Island, they would not let her off the ship. And they said that in order for her to get off the ship, he would have to marry her. So what he did is he actually married her on the dock in Ellis Island, and then they allowed her to to become a U.S. citizen. So that was an interesting situation for him, and it's part of our family history. His name, by the way, which I think I forgot to mention, was John Widmer. Unfortunately, he passed away before I was able to meet him, but I really wish I would have been able to meet him, and I wish he could see our business today, see how just the different changes and how we stuck to the same recipes and tradition that he started with. The next slide is a picture of my great grandfather. He's on the extreme left of the photo. And then his oldest son, John Jr., would be second to right. And then the next oldest would be Ralph Widmer, second to left. And then on the extreme left is his youngest son, Jim Widmer. So they worked in the business with him, and basically helped him with all of the jobs here. They were all cheesemakers and just helped the business grow into what it is today. As you saw in the last photo, the picture of Jim Widmer. As I said, he's the youngest, and then Ralph Widmer. Jim Widmer was 18, and he was drafted in World War II when he was 18, and he ended up in Okinawa. And then Ralph Widmer was actually 9 years older than Jim, 27 years old when he got drafted. And he ended up on what is known as a minesweeper in the Pacific. And it kind of interesting, it left my grandpa in kind of a pinch, because the only one left here to help him make cheese was his oldest son, and that was John Widmer. So I'm very proud of those guys, my great uncles, for fighting in World War II. So I just thought that I would mention it. My great uncle Jim actually passed away last year at the age of 93, and I'm glad that I got to meet him, and talk to him about the cheese factory and all the history that he's seen, being in World War II, and just everything he's seen since the cheese factory's been here. So I was also able to meet my great uncle Jim Widmer, who actually lived on the same block as the cheese factory, and I think he passed away in 2006 or 2007. So I was in high school, and I got a lot of good information from him, and he taught me a lot about the cheese factory and the history behind it, very much into the history. Unfortunately, I was unable to meet my grandfather, who passed away before I was born, but like I said, it would have been nice to meet him and learn more history about the factory, and just have him as family. So now we're on to my father. As I said before, he's a master cheesemaker. He was part of the second class of master cheesemakers to come out of Wisconsin. The first class was obviously in 1997, and I have to give a shout out to the Center for Dairy Research, CDR, which is a part of the University of Wisconsin, Madison, who developed the Master Cheesemaker program, along with what was formerly known as Wisconsin Milk Marketing Board, is now known as Dairy Farmers of Wisconsin. It's a great program for our state, for the dairy industry, and just for cheesemakers in general. It just kind of, it's like being a doctor almost, except you're a doctor of cheesemaking. It means you're knowledgeable, and that you're producing a product that meets very strict and stringent quality standards that Wisconsin is very proud to boast about. So obviously my dad was born into the cheese factory. I mean, it was a part of his life since he was born, because his my grandfather and his dad John worked here. So I know at the age of 18, my dad left the business and worked on the railroad for a few years, and then he decided to come back. So I think he made a good choice, and he's made a good living. He's passionate about the business, and to this day he's still here. He's still working full time, and I'm proud of him. He's done a really good job to carry on the tradition as a third generation, and yeah, he's done a good job. And I think his great uncles and his father would be very proud of him, along with my great grandfather. Now we're on to myself. As I said, I'm a fourth generation cheesemaker. I'm not yet a master cheesemaker. I've only been a licensed cheesemaker now for 5 years. Looking back in hindsight, I wish I probably would have became licensed at the first opportunity at around 16 years of age, but that wasn't the case. So if you look to my right here, that is Dustin Wallendahl. He's working to become a master cheesemaker currently, and he should probably be a master within the next couple of years here. He does a great job here at Widmers, and we're lucky to have him on board. As far as my other, I guess, accolades here, I'm a licensed cheesemaker. I also help with the food safety aspect of it. I'm a preventive control quality individual. So I kind of oversee a little bit of everything here. My formal title is VP of Operations. So I'm just right under my dad as president, but I really see my role here as just making sure that we produce a quality cheese, quality product, and continue on with the family tradition of producing quality handcrafted cheese that everyone can enjoy, and kind of sticking with a tradition. Like I said, I think that's very, very important to our business and the process of how we make the cheese here. There isn't, we don't have automation here. It's really a hands-on process. We have open vats, as I'll explain a little more in detail later. I also wanted to incorporate some older photos and kind of show you how things were and how things have progressed here over time. The picture here was taken in the 1920s, and they're actually picking up milk in wintertime with a horse-drawn sleigh, and it kind of shows how now we're picking up milk with milk trucks, but back then it was a little bit more difficult, of a process, and they used milk cans back then, and now we have it's a little bit more automated, a lot more automated actually, and I just thought that those photos would give you a historical perspective, since this is such a historical business, and cheesemaking in general goes back in time and into history. So I think at that time it was a lot more manual labor, and today it's more a little bit more administrative. So the tides have shifted a little bit. As I said, the sleigh that we saw in the previous slide, that was there were no milk cans on the sleigh yet, but the total pounds of the milk can would weigh up to 100 pounds each, and you're talking to fill 2 vats. Each vat here holds about 10,000 pounds of milk. In that time, you're talking approximately 235 milk cans just to fill 2 10,000 pound vats of cheese, so roughly 20,000 pounds of milk. That's a lot of manual labor. And you can see in this photo, the milk truck is on the very top photo, and this was during a snowstorm. My great uncle Jim Widmer was also a really good black and white photography. He actually took all of these photos, all 4 of these photos. Talking with him about this whole milk can process, he told me that at night he would go home and he would have severe back pain just from lifting these milk cans all day. And I can believe that for sure. I'm glad we don't have the milk cans anymore. I'm glad we're, picking it up with a milk truck and running it through a pipeline, right? Pasteurizing and running it into the vat. It's a lot easier on the back. So I'll talk a little bit about our farms. This is a cartoon here on the left-hand side, showing that the cow is a stockholder. So we currently have 3 local farmers within a 15-mile radius of our factory. And I wanted to compare to how things used to be. We used to have 50 farmers in the 1960s that we would pick up milk from. But the farm, there were a lot more farms and they were in close proximity. I mean, you wouldn't have to go far to pick up 50 farmers because there were so many of them. They were just a lot smaller and they had a lot less, a lot less cows. Now we see that the farmers there aren't as many, but they have more cows on a single farm. The farms that we pick up from, they're all generational family farms, kind of like our cheese factory. I think all 3 are at least in the 2nd or 3rd generation of ownership. So it's kind of they're kind of similar to our business. They're smaller farms, much like we're a smaller cheese factory, and I think they do a good job of providing us with quality milk, and I have no complaints with our farmers whatsoever. They do a great job, and they deserve all the credit for, because without quality milk you can't make quality cheese, and it's been proven throughout the years that we're getting quality milk because of the quality of our final product. So this picture, this is from the early 1900s. I couldn't get the exact date on this photo. What I do know about this building is that it was constructed in the 1870s. And if you look on the porch, that is where I currently live. There are a few modifications, but I currently live in that same building. Off to the left, that's where the factory was kind of built on. In this photo, when this photo was taken, this business was a wooden furniture manufacturer, and they also made caskets here. So kind of creepy, but it's part of the history of the building. So that same stone foundation, when you drive up to our retail store, you can still see that stone foundation. How things were built in the early 1900s compared to today. So if you look at this present day photo, that's where I sit on the left-hand side where the factory was built on. And if you look at the retail store, that's the retail store entrance. And above there, you see the flags of Switzerland. Those are actually representing the cantons of Bern. A canton would be like the size of a county in Wisconsin, or in any state for that matter, but it's more of like a miniature state within the country of Switzerland. So kind of unique there. What else do I want to point out? So the photo, if you go back to the old photo from the 1900s, that's actually where I live now, but that part of the building is cut off on the present day photo. So what you see with these cheese factories is usually they're older buildings, and they were added onto multiple times. They're usually longer buildings. They're usually on like a 4-way corner. And I think that has to do with the transportation of milk. Just made it made it easier and more convenient to transport milk to the facility. Looking at this photo, you can't see the additions, but we added on in 2004, we added a packaging room and a cold storage warehouse to the facility, much needed. And then in 2016, due to increased sales, we doubled the packaging space, cold storage. We added office space that could hold up to 5 or 6 people. And then we also built an employee break room for the facility to meet some of the food safety standards, and just a place where our employees could have a break, and just a better space for them, more comfortable than our prior arrangements. So right now we're currently landlocked at the current facility. So I mean, there would be room to maybe move some things around where we could fit another vat, but as far as packaging and cooler space, that is absolutely landlocked. So we have a third-party warehouse where we store some of our 40-pound blocks of Colby and cheddar to keep more room here for the cheese that we need on hand. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. It just kind of encompasses a little bit of everything that we do here at our facility. I think it basically showed everything except the milk hauling aspect of it. But yeah, we have a retail store here, and we also have packaging. So in addition to the cheese making, we do our own packaging. We have the retail store, and then we also pick up our own milk. So it's kind of like 4 to 5 businesses in one business. We do a lot under one roof. In the video, you saw a lot of the brick making process, which is kind of our flagship cheese. It's the cheese that we're known for. It's kind of our niche cheese. And you saw them scooping, taking the stainless steel pails and scooping the cheese into the stainless steel forms, and then putting a stainless steel plate on top of the curd, and then putting a 5-pound baker's brick on top of the stainless steel plate to press it into approximately a 5-pound piece of cheese. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you maybe learned a little bit about the technique that we use here to make our cheese, which is very, I would say, labor-intensive, hands-on, and very old school and traditional, which we kind of feel makes a better product. because we're able to see the cheese making from filling the vats all the way through to the end product. And you know, it when you're able to see the product all the way through, you're able to make adjustments along the way that other people might not notice. So, or other cheesemakers might not notice. So, as I said before, Colby is a Wisconsin original. It means that it was invented in Wisconsin. It's an American original. It was invented in the village of Colby in 1885. My great-grandfather didn't start making it until the 1940s. And then I put on here that it's a stirred curd cheese. I put that on here to kind of differentiate it from cheddar cheese. I think some people can get confused between Colby and cheddar, although they do use similar cultures. The technique that's used to make them is different. And when we're making all three of our cheeses, we cut it with stainless steel wire knives. We cut it vertically, and we also cut it horizontally. And in doing so, we cut the curd into about quarter-inch size pieces, and then we try to keep it that size throughout the entire make process. So it's about the size of if you buy cottage cheese in the store, it's about that size. If you buy the large curd cottage cheese, so we try to keep it that size throughout the whole process. The whole point is try not to get the curds to lump together at all. And there's a lot of our agitator does some work to keep the lumps up, but we really have to do a lot of manual labor with rakes and forks to try to keep those lumps out of the cheese. And we add salt to the cheese. The salt is applied evenly because all the curds are separated. That's what kind of differentiates that from a cheddar cheese, I believe. I can show you more of the cheddar making process. I actually have some old photos when we get to that cheese. So Colby is a mild variety of cheese. It has a higher fat content and higher moisture content, so it's not a cheese that you would want to really age out at all. It's more of a cheese that you want to eat, probably not past 5 or 6 months, but it might start to get some bitter attributes because of the higher moisture content after that time period. I've personally tried it after 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 months, and it does start to taste like a mild cheddar almost. But when it's consumed at a younger age, you can definitely taste the difference between a Colby and a cheddar, especially one that's made the traditional way. I'll also mention that this year at the World Cheese Awards, we got first place in the Colby category. So fortunately, the judging contest or judging portion of the contest happened right before the coronavirus pandemic here that we're experiencing. But we were unable to actually celebrate our win, even though we did receive the plaque in the mail. So that was good. Very proud of our cheesemaking team for sticking to the recipe and doing everything right to make a good cheese, because it's a kind of a hard category to win in.
Well, there's not a lot of American cheeses original that go up against the World Cheese Award. So being able to get a gold in that is very impressive, because again, we're handicapped with our lack of original. So I think it's really amazing what you do. And a lot of times when we talk about Colby, we see the Longhorn version of it, the round versions and all that. So it's really heartwarming to know that you guys are working it as an original recipe and original style. So that's
absolutely, yep. We're really sticking to that, those old world recipes, and I think that's what kind of separates our cheese making from some of the other facilities. Just
As
sticking
a
to
as a kid growing up in Iowa, this was Colby was our favorite cheese. That was probably the most easiest to get at the time as well, and it was just such a great little snack, and still is. It's such a light, buttery cheese. You can taste its slight similarity to cheddar, but in reality, you can really taste the uniqueness that you have here. That sour creamish flavor, the light butter on that, and as a snacking cheese all alone, I mean, this was eaten just with crackers and summer sausage. I mean, that's what I grew up with in the Midwest. But I'm going to step it up here and add a little bit of flavors to this, because this can really stand up to some real richness. And so I'm using Bonnie's jams, and this is a peach ginger jam. And I really like to have the sweetness on here. So the peach brings out more of the tanginess. The ginger brings out a little bit more of the butter. So you have those two. And what's interesting is that you get that buttery flavor. So it's almost like a peach pie. And so when I was tasting that, I was thinking, I need something to kind of bring up a little bit more of the pie flavor. And so I'm using an Effie's homemade rye cake. And so with this, it tastes like a peach cobbler pie.
those would certainly pair well together.
And I'm pairing it up with just a traditional light lager. This is Captain Lawrence. And this is their just lager. It's just a great little beer. You can see how clear this is. And this is just all about light grain. So there's no real big flavor. And the cheese by itself and with the beer is just really fun, because this adds more like a cleanser with all the butter that you have in here.
Yeah, I definitely think you have to go with a light beer that doesn't overpower the flavor of the cheese. Like a dark beer wouldn't be a good choice for Colby, since it has such a, like you said, buttery notes, mild.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this has such a nice buttery flavor to it that it just makes it really a very easy to enjoy beer, cheese, and then if you want to take it to another level to make it a little bit more, I guess, I wouldn't say desserty, because it's the ginger in here really balances out and gives you a really nice flavor to this. So you get some spiciness, you get some sweetness, you get some buttery flavors. It's just really kind of a nice little way to go. But there's nothing wrong with cheese and the lager by itself.
I agree. We also make the Colby with jalapenos as an added ingredient, and then we do a vegetable blend and a caraway seed blend. All which we sell quite a bit of those flavors out of our retail store. Jalapeno seems to be the most popular flavor added ingredient to cheese by far. People like anything with jalapenos, it seems like. But I have to say that the vegetable and the caraway both add something to the cheese that is good. So a good flavor.
Yeah.
This is what the label looks like for the cheese, the Colby. So this is a 1 pound piece. We also have 8-ounce pieces, 5 pound, 2.5 pounders. So we make it in a 40 pound blocks, square blocks. Michael mentioned before the Longhorn Colby. We do get inquiries about the Longhorn Colby probably once or twice a week, but what I explained to them, it's the same cheese, it's just made in a different form. So rather than putting it in a cylinder form to create that Longhorn shape, we're just making it in a square block, mainly for convenience and handling purposes. It just makes it so much easier for storage and everything. but the Longhorn Colby is a traditional and accents add something to the cheese that through appearance, aesthetically.
Yeah, one of the things that when I was looking at the cheese, a lot of times when we're building cheese boards, when you're working with a block, we have the tendency to go with squares and creating little cubes from this. I would encourage those that are building a cheese board using this to stay away from that. And what's really interesting is if you take it and you take the corner and then you can slice it in wedges instead of and one of the things about a wedge is it's going to give you a lighter piece of cheese and not so thick and chewy. So it makes it a little more entertainment friendly. And a lot of times when you're working with blocks, we have that tendency. I see that all the time, and there's really no reason to do that. So anything else you'd like to say about the Colby?
I think as you're zoomed in on this photo, I don't know if the audience can see it, but you can see the little tiny mechanical openings in the cheese, and I think that's when judges are judging this cheese, they're looking for the mechanical openings in a traditional Colby. You can see how the curds were once like the size of cottage cheese, and it should break apart like that to show that your make process, the moisture content of the cheese and everything is satisfactory for a Colby and meets the requirements. So that's really what judges are looking for when they break apart a piece of Colby, much like Michael did. So the next is Mild Brick, and I kind of introduce these cheeses according to their flavor profile. So I started with the more mild cheeses, and we're working our way into cheeses that have a little bit more flavor, although Mild Brick is still on the very mild side. So the Mild Brick is what I would call the modern day brick cheese. It's brick cheese without the wash rind on it. Basically, not the original way that it was intended to be made, but still the same cheese without that European style wash rind on it. So that's this cheese right here with this label. So the Mild Brick is made using a brick. So as you saw in that very short video, we scoop the curds into a stainless steel form, and we put about 7 pounds worth of curd and whey into the form, and then we put that stainless steel plate on top, and then we put the brick on top of the curd to press the excess whey out and kind of get that curd to form a block of cheese. That's how brick cheese was invented, and that's how we're still making it to this day. What I was going to say about the Mild Brick cheese is, when my great-grandfather first came here, he started with the aged brick. And there was a heavy German population here. But as more and more people moved to Teresa or this area, he saw that not everybody wanted a strong flavored cheese with a strong aroma. People wanted something that wasn't going to scare them away before they ate it. So that's why he started making the Mild Brick. When I look at the mild brick, I don't necessarily say that I wouldn't say pair it with a red wine because it's too mild for that, or pair it with a dark beer because it's too mild for that. Although it can be done, it's just not really what it's really used for that application. Although it is one of our best-selling cheeses, I think it's more becoming more of like a cheese that people will supplement other foods with. So we have restaurants in the area that will put it on burgers. The meltability of the cheese is great. It has a higher moisture content, and it's a full fat cheese, so the meltability is just excellent. The other food that's really gaining a lot of popularity is the Detroit style pizza. And what they do is they use Detroit style pizza is a style of pizza developed in Detroit that actually uses mild brick as one of the main cheese ingredients. I think a lot of Detroit style pizza makers now are mixing the mild brick with other cheeses. It would be like a 50-50 blend of mild brick and mozzarella, and it just, like I said, the meltability of the cheese is just great, and the flavor profile when melted is just excellent. It gives that Detroit style pizza it's an awesome pizza, if I say so myself, in my unbiased opinion. We have other companies that will buy the mild brick and they actually use it in macaroni and cheese recipe, and it makes a really good macaroni and cheese. Just the creaminess and, like I said, meltability of the cheese. So that's about it. I do have an old photo here that I would like to show. It's kind of blurry because this is on glossy paper, but this is a photo that I believe my great uncle Jim took, a black and white photographer, as I told you before, as well as a cheesemaker. But right here in this photo, that would be my great uncle Jim, and then this would be my grandfather here. As you can see, they're making brick cheese in this photo, and they're scooping out the curd, which is about the size of cottage cheese curds that you buy in the store, putting it into the forms, and then after they get it into the forms, level off forms, they're going to put the stainless steel plate and then the bricks on. Now, before anybody starts looking at this photo, wonder if it was taken yesterday. No, it was not. That's why they don't have hair nets on. It was a little bit different back then as far as food safety is concerned. It just wasn't, I don't think, I've seen pictures of old cheesemakers smoking over the bat, and I don't think that was done in our facility, but I'm just saying it was a different practice back then. This photo was probably taken in, I'm going to guess the 40s, or probably 50s. 50s, probably. 50s or early 60s, so.
It's funny that when you talk about this, and we talk about it being a wash-drying cheese, this has no real umphiness about you all of a sudden go, oh, it should have a stronger smell, or it should be a little bit more robust. This is a lot, the flavor is a lot like a mozzarella in that respect, is you got a lot of sweetness. I taste a lot of the creamy milkiness in this, and it's just a very, very pleasant and very, very mild cheese. I could see this in just about any recipe. And the beauty of this particular cheese is the adaptation. In other words, whatever you put with this, it's going to blend in. This isn't going to take over a recipe. This is going to enhance the creaminess of a recipe, but it's not going to take over. And there's a lot of cheeses that you could use in making things where that becomes the focus. And this is just, it's so pleasant. I really enjoy this. And I have to say, I am kind of disappointed that I hadn't had this cheese before. And honestly, this is the first time I've ever had brick cheese.
Okay.
I've seen it, but I've never indulged in it. And I have to say is that those that have never had it, you have to get this, because this is a fun little cheese that's really, really simple and very, very tasty, but it's not something that's going to take away or be a giant flavor in here. So you can see it's pretty much like the way the Colby looked in that. And so in my pairing here, I was not knowing exactly what I was going to get, but I thought that fig would work really well because I love figs, and Divina does a wonderful orange fig, and I thought that would be really fun because it'll kind of take on its own little flavor. and it just makes the fig taste more fig-like. Orange comes in there really nice. And for a cracker wise, I really didn't want to take anything too much over the top. So I'm just using a brewer's cracker that's got some sea salt to it. So nothing really over the top. And for beer pairing, we can stay the same. We can stay with the lager, because anything else, you put a pale on there, you put anything, it's just going to overwhelm it. And you just need something to kind of help clean the palate and bring it together. So, staying with a light lager is a great way to go. I mean, a spotted cow would work, and it's pretty much almost a pale, but that's mild enough, so that'd work too. Wisconsin.
I agree. Spotted cow would go quite well with the mild brick.
So, what a wonderful, wonderful cheese, And as for it being wash drying, again, I smell the beautiful smell of cheese curds. This is when you talk about cheeses that have flavors to them, this is probably more. Would I be out of line by saying it's kind of like fresh curd?
I would say like the Colby. It's a cheese that you want to eat mild, meaning that you don't want to let it age out a long time. And it, like the Colby, it also has the mechanical openings in it, which is a part, a signature of the mild brick or brick in general. And also a very curdy cheese, because the similar process as far as keeping the curds separated in the vat before we press it into a block. What I was also going to mention about this cheese, it gets brined for about 10 hours, and then it gets placed in a curing room for 3 days. So it does get put in a curing room, which is about 70 degrees, upwards of 90% humidity. And that's for 3 days. And then we pack it, we vacuum pack it in 5-pound pieces. And then from there, we convert it down to different sizes. But yeah, it's a cheese you want to eat probably within, 5 months at the most, let it age out, kind of like the Colby. I did have a 2-year-old piece of mild brick at that point. It was 2-year brick. Actually, a distributor of ours found an old case of it in their cooler, and my dad and I tried it, and it was actually pretty good. But it's still, the intended use is to eat it as a mild cheese. So.
Yeah. I mean, obviously by itself, it's really nice.
Can you see how that would be good on a pizza? Melted with another variety of like mozzarella, or even a burger. Like I said, we have a lot of small restaurants, bars around the area that will put it on a burger. It just adds just elevates that burger to another level as far as flavor.
And with all the moisture that this has, this would probably melt beautifully as well.
What I forgot to mention is a grilled cheese, just a standard grilled cheese. It makes a great grilled cheese.
I could see that.
Or poutine is the other one, the poutine, the French fries with the melted cheese and then the gravy. It's good for that application as well. I've had it.
That sounds great. All right. So anything else you want to say about this? One thing that I think is important, that when you say that you brine this, one of the main differences that you have with cheddar is that there is no brining with cheddar because the salt is added to it. So that's kind of another differentiation between the Colby and the brick against cheddars.
Yeah, we brine it for its flavor adder or producer, and it's also acts as a natural preservative for cheese. Mainly, traditionally, it's the all varieties of, Italian varieties of cheese are brined, but brick is also the other, American variety that is brined.
All right. Anything else you want to say about that?
We do cut our 5-pound blocks of brick when they're made on the same day. We do cut it into cubes, and then we sell those as cheese curds, which are very popular. I think we're the only factory that does the brick curds, and we actually have a business here in town, Pioneer Keg, that will buy our brick curds and then fry them. So they're fried cheese curds, and they were in like the top 10 last year for fried cheese curds in the state of Wisconsin. So I was proud of that. Although I like to eat them in moderation because they're pretty rich, fried cheese curds.
Well, that's saying a lot considering that so many people make cheese curds, and there are companies that's basically their livelihood. So
Yeah,
to
yeah.
add that in,
Traditionally they're cheddar curds, but we decided to. I think it was my grandfather that decided to start doing the brick curds, and I think it was a good idea. Just a little different niche that we hit.
yeah. All right. So our next cheese takes us to cheddar.
I decided to go with a 4-year aged cheddar. That's one of my favorite ages of cheddar. I do like the older varieties, but I thought that a 4-year was kind of the middle ground. So my great grandfather started making the cheddar right away in 1922, right along with the aged brick cheese, and I think that he chose cheddar because it's just kind of a universally popular cheese. It's not. It was invented in England, so it's not an American original or anything like that. But I think he chose it because of its overall popularity. We do a variety of cheddar from mild, and the oldest that we currently have is a 15-year-old cheddar. That wasn't the intention, my great grandfather's intention from the beginning. I think that I don't think he envisioned aged cheddar when he first started making it. It was it was all mild cheddar, and it was intended to be sold and consumed right away. But my dad started kind of aging the cheddar out when he took over. He'd age it out to like 1-2 years, and then he started going longer and longer with the aging process, and found that as the cheese aged out, it had a better flavor or a sharper flavor. And we just kept going and going with it. Now we have a 15-year-old in stock. I think it might actually be up to 16 now. But every batch is different when it comes to all cheese. But when you're aging it out, if you have a batch that might not be as good, you might have missed something during the make process that is a little bit off. And as that cheese ages out, it might not be as good. It might develop some off flavors. So other than that, like I said, I decided to go with a 4-year-old cheddar because it's not mild, but I really start to think that at 4 years of age, it really starts to get that sharp flavor. It starts to get some of the calcium lactate crystals, and it starts to get kind of crumbly, which is kind of becoming some of the more sought after characteristics of an aged cheddar. So this is the 4-year-old cheddar label right here, and I actually have some older photos of the cheddar making process that I would like to show you. If you bear with me here. So this is a photo of the cheddar making process here. Now, I believe this is my grandfather, but he looks very similar to my great uncle Jim, so that might be my great uncle Jim in this photo. But in the cheddar making process, what you do is we cut the curd the same way to get it, that 1/4 inch size diameter. But then on both sides of the vat, we press it into giant slabs. And then the whole goal is to press it into giant slabs, and then you cut it down further into tinier slabs. And right now he's flipping the cheddar, and we're trying to get it into smaller slabs. It actually turns out to be like a giant pancake almost, that you keep on flipping, and you keep on flipping these slabs of cheddar until you get to a certain acidity level. Once you get to that acidity level, then you move to the next step, which is milling the curd, milling the cheddar curd. So you take those giant slabs that he was pressing in the last photo, and you mill it into actual cheese curds, cheddar cheese curds that we're familiar with. After that step, we move to the salting step. As Michael mentioned before, cheddar is not a cheese that you brine. It's a cheese where you add salt in the vat. And then once we get those curds, in this photo he's wrong direction. He's scooping those curds into forms. I believe that these forms they're wooden forms, because this was in 1950 or 60 before we moved on to these new standards. Now they're stainless steel square forms, but these are wooden circular forms. And then here you see my great-grandfather and my grandpa in the background. They're taking the curd after it's been in the forms with the cheesecloth and pressing it with the cheesecloth. They're making sure that the cheesecloth is around the entire diameter of the cheese. And then in this photo, my grandfather is he put those wooden forms into stainless steel forms, and they're pressing it on a horizontal press to kind of get the cheese curds more compact and into one big block of cheese, or wheel of cheese, if you will. And then on this photo, he's stamping the blocks of cheddar that were made in the cooler. So that would be I believe that's my grandfather. Like I said, he looks very similar to my great uncle, so I get them confused all the time.
I think that pretty much we get an agreement that just about everybody loves a good cheddar. And, you know, one of the things that you have to consider when you get into the 4-year age, and which is very different in years, is that when they get to that point, they become so dry. This is incredibly moist. It's just got a lot of wonderful moisture in here. It's not a very hard cheese in that respect. It's actually very, very creamy, very easy to be able to cut and to separate. But the sharpness is there, that you can really taste that on there. So with this, I'm adding in a pepper jelly, and this is the Preservation Society pepper jelly. 4 little different peppers, a little bit of vinegar to kind of give it a little bit of tang, and the creaminess of this cheese really tones down any of the heat. But what it does is it really brings out more of the buttery flavors of the cheese. It's so nice to have such a creamy cheese as a cheddar. A lot of times you get that dryness, the crunchiness on there, where you get to taste a little bit of the calcium lactate, but I've never seen a 4-year-old cheddar that has this much creaminess to it. And it's just really amazing. If you're a cheddar lover, you get like the best part of the world of having the tanginess, but you don't have that dryness that you typically get as you get into that aging, because this is definitely cream, milk, butter, tang, a little bit of that, I'd say a little hint of lemon, maybe a little Myers lemon tang.
I did dump some lemon juice in that vat. No, I'm just joking. No, I think there's a few steps in the cheddar making process that they're secret that make the cheese a little bit creamier in the long run as you're aging it out. So
another thing that you could do with this, because of how creamy and flavorful this is adding it with a flavored cracker. And this is Firehook. This is a Mediterranean style, but it's with rosemary and olive oil and sea salt. So it adds, it really blends well together. I use a lot of cheddars with flavors because they do work really well with it. When you want to add that in for entertaining, adds a little bit more. So the beer that I chose with this one, this is a pale ale. It's a West Coast style. This is SweetWater Brewing, their 420 extra pale ale. And it's got a nice hoppiness, and hops and herbs work really well together. So you get the carbonation, you get a little bit of the hoppiness with this, and it just blends in just really well with this cheese. I've been enjoying this pale ale for years.
You say it's an IPA?
It's a pale.
Oh, pale.
Yeah, it's an American
you're right.
style. So it's hoppy, little bit of citrus, just a hint of pine, but it's not big. It's not a big hop bomb. It's just, it's got enough where it works really well with adding into the cheese with the rosemary. All those things blend in really well. So just a nice little, a great little afternoon snack, or before dinner, have a nice pale ale, the cheese, and some crackers, wafers, whichever you prefer, and through there. That's real nice and easy.
Good combination. Something with a little bit more flavor for, to go along with the cheese, definitely.
But, getting back to the cheese itself, this is really surprising to have that much moisture in here and creaminess with all the flavor. You just don't find that very often. And I give you a lot of credit in the make and aging process to be able to get to 4 years and have this amount of flavor and creaminess. That's just really amazing. Wonderful.
Thank you. Because they pack so much flavor on their own, I usually just eat it plain. I'll put it on I have these crackers here. They're rice crackers, savory rice crackers. They're gluten-free if you have a gluten intolerance. So sometimes I'll eat it on a cracker like that. I do put it on, you can put a little bit of macaroni and cheese, or you can put it on burgers, put a little bit on grilled cheese. But sometimes the meltability of a cheddar isn't as good as that of a brick, so you just kind of mix the two together where the brick's really melty. You put a little bit of cheddar with it, and it's better for cooking.
This isn't like anybody else's. This is really a statement of Widmers. This is your cheddar.
Yeah, definitely. Yep.
I think that a lot of times when you talk about the commodity of cheddar, and then everybody brings their own. Last week I had Mary Quick, which is a magnificent cheese that's bandage wrapped and cloth bound. So it's got a lot of different flavors, horseradish in it. So you take that in that direction. Where yours, this is what I grew up with. This is an American style cheddar, creamy, buttery, tangy. This is the one where you do eat it in a cube and you set it out and you just toothpick it to the until they're all gone. It's that type, that style.
I would agree with you. Yep.
Yeah, very, very nice. You guys do a great job on that.
Thank you.
And thank you, by the way, because I have a 14-year-old cheddar that you sent along with it. So
yeah, I did
I'm
put
going
that
to
in
be
there,
doing that later. So that'll be really nice. That'll be really fun to see that.
So we're on to the the aged brick cheese, which is probably our flagship cheese. I wouldn't say that it's our most popular cheese, but it's the flagship cheese. It's the cheese that my great-grandfather first started to make when he bought this cheese factory in 1922. It's a very, very unique product, and I think it's one of those products that sets us apart from all the other cheese makers. So the really cool thing about aged brick cheese is it was invented in the same county, Dodge County, that we're in the 1870s by a fellow Swiss immigrant by the name of John Yassi. And yeah, he made that about 30 miles from our current facility. And I think when he came here, there was a heavy German population, heavy German immigrant population, and they were more accustomed to those European-style cheeses. So he invented this cheese, and he invented it as a wash rind cheese, which is very European. So when my great-grandfather came here, he must have caught wind of this cheese, and he also realized that with the heavy German population in and around the surrounding communities, that he would also make this cheese. I have to mention that there was a heavy German population in southeastern Wisconsin because it's very similar to the Germany as far as the landscape, the soil, and very similar to what they would use as agricultural land in Germany. So I think that's why there are so many farms within this area. So like I said, it's a wash rind style cheese. When you look at it, the natural color is white, but you can see as you look at around the perimeter of the cheese that it has that washed surface rind on it. And this is, like I said, the traditional style of brick cheese. So the make process is the same with the mild brick. We pour it into those stainless steel forms, size of cottage cheese, put the brick on top. It sits on a make table overnight for about 12 hours. Next morning, we put it in the brine, sits in there for 10 hours. And then the difference is we put it in a curing room for 7 to 10 days, and we wash it every day with a certain culture bacteria, and that's what gives it the surface rind. Once it meets the standards of onto the next level where we can package it, we have to make sure that it has a good of enough rind where it's going to develop flavor throughout that whole piece of cheese. So once it gets to that stage, we wrap the cheese in parchment and foil, and then we put it in a cooler. The reason we don't vacuum pack it is due to the fact that if we wrap it in parchment and foil, air is able to get to the cheese, and that helps the cheese age out further. And it reaches peak at that point in 3 to 5 months. Some people like it a little bit milder. Some people like it past 5 to 6 months. And at that point, it becomes similar to Limburger cheese. I personally prefer it a little bit younger at the 3-month range, but I brought a 2.5 pound block here with me. You can see how we wrapped it in the foil, and then underneath that we had we had the parchment paper. You can see that the surface rind of the cheese, and that the natural color of cheese is white, which we don't add any food coloring to this, but you can see it's starting to get that dark, almost tannish color, and that means that the rind is good on this cheese. So
this is a washed rind cheese. It is absolute. When you say Limburger, a lot of people lean back away from that, thinking that it's going to be an aromatic, strong cheese. Limburger is one of the mildest washed rinds, and this is the same thing. This is a very mild washed rind. As a supreme judge at the International Cheese Awards, one of my categories that I judge a lot is the washed rind category. And so I have to say that this is very, very classic, but also it is very, very mild in the big scheme of things. But let's not get away from that point because it has power to it. This has got some wash drying flavors which are yeasty and a little robust. There's a little hint of earthiness in here. So my first thought, and I do this a lot, is that, you know, this is one of those savory things that you can work with. So I paired this up with some pâté, and this is Three Little Pigs, and I love the chicken and pork with Armagnac. Just really, really pleasant. So just a little bit of that, and then to be able to make it a little bit more tangy and bring the flavors together, I add in one of the little these gherkins, and this is a little spicy gherkin from there. And then to be able to contain it all, this is like a little sandwich. It reminds me of liverwurst in a way, but with the cheese, you get so much of the flavors that's in here. This is really like almost a meal.
Yeah, the German name for this cheese is lager case, which in German means a beer case, because it accents beer so well. The Germans would eat it with a dark beer, which I'm sure Michael has a dark beer there to pair with it. So,
you know,
or not.
we talked about this yesterday,
Yeah.
about, you know, bringing in you know, a dark, really rich beer, and I thought about that, and I have several styles, but something that kept popping up in my head, and this is the New Belgian, and this is their wheat beer, their wit, and this is got a lot of malty flavors to it, but it's also got more of the Belgian style. So it kind of goes into a little bit of the farmhouse style ale, and it's got some spices to it, not kind of like a Hefeweizen, but, you know, some real nice richness, some complexity to it. And so I tried it while you were talking with just the cheese, and it's just so pleasant. I mean, really, really easygoing in there. And then when you add in the pairing here with the pâté and the cheese and the gherkins and that with this is like the perfect balance that brings all these together. One of them does not overpower the other. They all just kind of come in. It's really nice. You know, if you're looking to have a cheese board, and now we're not entertaining 20 people at a time, it's just, you know, 2 or 3 people, or even smaller, just you. And this is a great combination, having a little bit of the pâté with the gherkin and the cheese and the little cracker. It's just so nice. The difference between the mild and the aged is night and day. You know, the mild doesn't have any of the earthy rind yeastiness that this does, and this is so pleasant. You know, you don't have to be a big wash drying fan to really enjoy this, because it is a mild version of it, but there's just so much butter in here. It's so nice.
Yeah, occasionally a customer will get the two confused, the mild brick and the aged brick, and it's an unpleasant day. You know, they'll order mild brick and they thought it was they should have been getting aged brick, or, you know, vice versa. So like you said, the difference is night and day, with particularly with the curing process and just the wash rind in general. So it's really a cheese that we baby all the way through the whole process, because it's something that if you don't really baby and monitor, you can mess it up if you don't know what you're doing. And my dad really, well, he followed my great grandfather's footsteps, and then great uncles and his father, and really stuck to that same method of making it. So it's just something you have to monitor through the whole process to get good flavors. Yeah, one combination is rye bread with the aged brick, and then red onion, maybe some Dusseldorf or Dijon mustard, German style mustard on top of that, and that seems to be a very good combination. Sometimes we'll serve that here if there are tour groups that come through. So it's kind of
You
one
know,
of the.
I have, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I have the Effie's rye biscuits, and with the rye biscuits with the pâté, and I also have a French Dijon mustard that could go really well with that. That would, and the cheese, that would be a fabulous. That's what I'm going to do next, because it's too hard for me to get over there, but I have all those, and so when I finish with this tonight, I'm definitely going to get the mustard and the rye cakes and give that a try, because this is fabulous.
Yeah, we also make it with caraway seeds in it. Usually, we get an old German guy that comes in the store that buys it with the caraway seeds. So you can tell right away that guy's gonna buy the aged brick with caraway seeds. I called it first. So you usually don't get a lot of millennials that, or if they do it, they're like, "What is this?" You know. So it's
You
unlike
know,
anything I've had.
it's so heartwarming to have you guys, still doing those cheeses without trying to figure out, okay, well, what's going to be the next thing? What's going to be the next Jarlsberg? What's going to be the next this and all
Yeah.
that? To stay steady and to be able to produce these cheeses. And those that have not had a chance to be able to put them in their lineup, these are great iconic cheeses that should be on every cheese board. Seriously, it's just they're magnificent. They're what cheese is about the love of cheese and the flavors and the richness that you get. That's where you're at, and that's magnificent.
Thank you. Thank you very much. The brick spread, and this I want to make it clear that this is made with the aged brick. It's not made with the mild brick. It's the aged brick wash rind cheese, and that's mixed with a white cheddar. And this is our most recent product that was brought to market. This is an idea that my father had brought to market in the early 2000s, and he came up with the idea with Phil Lindeman of Pine River Prepack. If you don't know Pine River Prepack, they do a great job with the cold pack cheese spreads and other cheese spread varieties using real cheese. It's the real deal. But anyways, he saw Phil at a food show and started talking to Phil, and he said to Phil Lindeman from Pine River, "Have you ever made a brick spread before?" And Phil actually had for a previous company, but then it just died, fizzled out. And then he and my dad revisited the idea, and they came up with a combination of the aged brick and a white cheddar. And they tried just aged brick, and it didn't turn out, but with a combination of the white cheddar, just a great combination. What else can I say about it? It's a very popular product. I haven't met a lot of people that have tried it that don't like it. I think a lot of people, when they get to when they see it in like a retail case, they might not know what is brick spread, what is brick cheese. They know what port wine spread is, but once they try the brick spread, it's like, this is the best spread I've ever had. So very popular product, very, very good flavor profile with the you get like the aged earthiness and the wash rind flavor with the aged brick, and then you get the sharper flavor that comes through with the white cheddar. We sell a lot of it. We were doing a tremendous amount of food service before this pandemic, but people use it on restaurants will use it on burgers, sandwiches. They use it as an ingredient. We have a company that makes a sauce out of it for like a grilled cheese. I see it on salad bars. Just a a very versatile spread.
Did a session with Mary Lindeman and had an opportunity to be able to taste through their products. And I just did a CBS little show using them on burgers, which
Yeah.
is really cool to be able to have that. And I think that what we have to say is this is not your dad or grandpa's pub cheese. This is real flavors of the cheese, and these are just absolutely beautiful in the creaminess and the ability to be able to get them to spread. You know, obviously you need some sort of cracker. This Firehook, it holds up. You can see how this is not going to go anywhere. You know, you don't want to use something that's so wimpy that it's going to break, but you can use their sea salt or anything like that. But this is just amazingly creamy. That's magnificent. That's wonderful.
That's usually the reaction that we get.
Yeah.
They do a really good job with their spreads. I don't think I've tasted a better spread, you know, besides Pine Rivers.
Yeah, these are addictive. You're gonna, you know, I know that they're not single servings, but it would be hard not to eat this whole thing. It's just, I would have never expected it to be, you know, in this creamy, rich, little bit of tanginess. There's some sweet milk in here. This is just so delicious, you know.
You can really get
the cracker simple.
You can taste that aged brick coming through, right? A little washed rind, yeah. But it's not overpowering.
No, you know, one of the things is that you, in the aged brick piece, because you get that washed rind that's developing and has the aroma on it, it gives you the impression of being a little stronger than it is. Where in here, you don't have that aroma. So you really don't get that impression that this is strong, but you get the strength of the cheese that's cheese. It's this is what you want to enjoy, is that you get the real flavors of the cheese that you're making, but also you're getting the real authentic flavors of cheese. And I know you would think that that's just such a simple thing, but through this massive amount of cheeses that are made across the country, I have to be honest that not everybody does a authentic or a real rich flavor. They may cut some corners here, it may be a little bit different there, but in this instance, you know, your history of being able to do it, and I would naturally assume that your cultures are also original cultures that you're using.
Yeah, yep, they are. The cultures used to be made in-house. So my great-grandfather, my great-uncles, and my grandpa would make the cultures in-house. But that has changed to buying the cultures from a culture company. And they have, you know, representatives that, you know, they guide you in the right direction of what cultures to use to get certain flavors and for different varieties of cheese. And I think that's pretty much the standard nowadays. Instead of making the cultures in-house, it's a little bit more, there's a little bit more behind it than there used to be. And you can, you know, add different varieties of different cultures to get the different flavors that you want, and, you know, play around with the chemistry of it and the science behind it. Whereas, you know, back in the day, it might have been a little bit less scientific, or, you know, a little bit less chemistry involved in the whole thing. So
the way that this butter is and the richness and the flavors with that jalapeno, it is not out there. I mean, it's you taste the richness of the pepper, not the heat of the pepper. And that's really nice.
it is. That's not overpowering the cheese, and I think that's what we try to do with all the pepper that we add to our other varieties. We have a mild pepper brick. We have a mild, where we have a Colby pepper, and we have jalapeno cheddar. we just try to, not overpower the cheese. It's just a little bit of an accent to the cheese, if you will.
Well, you definitely have these spreads. They're beautiful and easy and delicious. Very, very unique with the brick. I recommend this very highly for somebody that just loves cheese. It is rich, it's buttery, it's got all the flavors that you want, and it's pretty addictive. I paired these two up with a tropical pale ale. This is from a local brewery. This is Cigar City, and they do this invasion pirate thing. And this is invasion ale, and it's a tropical. So it's got a little bit of citra in here. And so that lemony, not quite full lemon, but a little citrus goes in here, really cuts into this, takes a little bit of the rich butter flavor away, but it also brings out a little bit of the tanginess. So really nice little combination, really simple, and pretty easy to, you could literally sit here and consume all these with a couple beers.
I have before.
Yeah.
It's hard not to eat a tub in one sitting. I have to practice self-control sometimes to be like, oh, it's time to put it away.
Yeah, I could see that. This is just such a wonderful, rich flavor, and so easy. A lot of times when you think about the spreads, I think that you might consider the fact that they might be a lower quality of the cheese, but this is actually a little bit more of the richer flavors that you would get from it. So I think you're actually getting a little more out of these packs, the spreadables, than you are in the regular cheese. Because this is so easy to spread a big glob on there and really get a nice mouthful of real cheese. That's just wonderful.
Yeah. It's not oil and water. That's like some of the more processed spreads.
Right.
So I really think Phil, the Pine River crew, does a really good job with that. Not cutting corners with the ingredients. So
yeah,
just basically cold pack spread would be basically it's still considered a cheese food, and it's just moisture and like you said, other ingredients like butter and whey. So proprietary information. Yeah. Yep. I like these. I like photos tell a story on their own. So let's see here. On the left upper hand corner, looks like we have my great grandpa and great uncle when they were my great uncle and my grandfather when they were kids. The middle upper photo would be my great uncle Jim, and then on the right hand side would be my grandfather John. And then we have in the middle photo, that's just a complete view of the cheese factory in the 1940s, I believe. And then the lower right hand corner, we have great uncle Jim, great uncle Ralph, and then my grandpa John. And then an old billboard there in the middle. We actually recreated that billboard this year, and it's on Highway 41 coming out of Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, going south. So we went retro instead of the new logo, and I think it catches people's attention. So people always ask me, how much cheese do you make per year? So I put it on there, about 800 pounds of cheese per year, which is it's small. It's a small artisan operation. So that's kind of the way we want to keep it. I don't want to get any bigger or cut any corners with the way we're doing things now. So I think artisan cheese making is kind of an art, and as you can see from the other videos that Michael has helped create with these other cheesemakers, we all have a different product or different cheese to offer, and we try to work together to promote the dairy industry in Wisconsin in general, and I just appreciate the opportunity to be able to make a product like cheese, and I'm glad people can enjoy these products, because it really is kind of an art, much like craft breweries or these small wineries. It's making a comeback, and I think that's a good thing, because I think pay more attention to the small details that small business is important in our economy. So, and it's important for families and supporting families, and yeah, that's about all I have. Thanks a lot for giving me the time to talk to you guys, and I hope you learn more about our business and our products here. So I really appreciate Michael giving me the opportunity to do this as well. So